Today, let's discuss imposter syndrome in the quant world. Hey everyone, Tino here, aka The Dirty Quant, and welcome back. I'd like to talk about a topic dear to my heart, something that I've gone through, and I'm sure many of you have gone through, and that is imposter syndrome. I'm sure we see this term plastered all over LinkedIn all the time, but what does it mean to me, and how have I sort of made my way through it and sort of come out the other side? I think sort of a stronger quant. And obviously, I'm just going to talk about it in the context that I know, and this is like the quant world in finance. I'm sure this sort of happens at all levels, whether you might be like an actor in a new acting school or whatever that may be. But let's just talk about sort of my experience. I think the first real time where it was really evident to me that, and I didn't even know it was a word. I just felt like I don't belong here. The people around me are so much smarter and they just know so much more. They're going to find out that I don't belong here. Was when I sort of started my PhD. And, we had these weekly, what do they call them? Like morning coffee sessions or whatever. And everyone would go up and sort of present a little bit about their research and what they're doing. And you look at the board and it might as well been in Japanese because it just made literally no sense to me. I couldn't even follow. I could just follow after they said hello. And that's sort of about where I stopped really listening or actually making sense to me. So that's really the first sort of time I thought, what if they sort of ask me a question about it? What if they sort of expect my opinion on this? I have no view on this. It's something I don't know anything about. And I think it took me, some time to actually to realize that I'm not alone. Everyone sort of goes through this, and there's an expectation that you're not expected to know this. Day one, no one was born learned. I always like to think of drawing a timeline of anyone's life. Pick Einstein, right? There was a time in his life when he didn't know what, I don't know, neutrons were or something like that, right? He didn't know. He had to be taught that as well. He didn't just was born learned, right? So, and I think it took me about a year to get to that foundational knowledge where all of a sudden, pretty not anything, but most things that, in my sort of subject area people will talk about, I'll go, okay, I've got a rough idea of what they're sort of talking about. And actually, don't forget, the onus is sometimes on the other person and what they are describing. Because a lot of the time, especially in academia, and don't get me started, they go, oh, A, therefore Z. And I was like, I'm still learning. I'm a trainee researcher. You have to show me A, B, C, D all the way, all the steps up to Z. It's not just implied. So maybe the onus is actually on the other person to be able to explain it in a coherent manner. And actually, if you can't explain it simply, usually you don't even understand it. So a lot of the time, there's a lot of things get disguised in complexity. So don't also be fooled for that one. No, but regardless of that, maybe in a more professional setting, you might enter the room with someone with a lot of qualifications, a lot of letters after the name, blah, blah, blah. And you might feel intimidated by what they say, or, they might bring up something that you're not sort of familiar with. Again, it takes quite a bit of confidence to sort of stand up and go, I don't know what you're sort of talking about. I am not familiar with that, because you actually start to realize not everyone is an expert in everything. There's no such thing as an expert in everything, right? So I'm familiar with what I'm familiar. People can talk to me about GARCH, MCMC, and stats, just general statsy things, volatility, sort of all day long. But they start to talk about some other thing in statistics or whatever. I'm like, I've literally got no idea. Like trigonometry, I was like, I don't have no idea about all that sort of stuff. People just expect you to know. I was like, I don't know. And I've got no shame in saying I don't know that. I mean, could I find out? Give me a couple of hours, I can probably work it out, sure. But right here off the bat, no, I don't know it. So a lot of the time, this can happen in a professional setting where you're put in a room where people are throwing concepts and ideas around, and you go, well, what if they ask me a question about it? I'm not going to have a clue. And I think it takes quite a bit of courage to go, look, I'm not familiar with this area. just, I'll take some notes and then I'll just follow up with you rather than just pretending to know, because actually that can probably be even more dangerous, where you can be led down a path where you might be going into too much, the other person might be going into too much detail, and all of a sudden sort of there's actually no point in, it's a waste of both of your time, right? I think we're all sort of smart individuals here. We're all at the same table, but you might have more product knowledge in something that I don't have. And I found, working up into sort of my career, once you get to a sort of level of enough sort of basic understanding, right? It's sort of like it takes, like, you're not going to, I always think of like knowledge as like mountains, and there's going to be people right at the peak of that mountain. I look up and say, I can't do that. It's going to take years for me to get there. Fine. But you also want to be at, what do they call it, like base camp level, right? You want to have enough knowledge that we can sort of talk about that general sort of area. Like I recently, took a journey into sort of cloud and AWS sort of knowledge, and definitely nowhere near an expert in that, but people can talk to me about different cloud concepts and sort of different technologies, and I'll be like, okay, I can see how that can work, or how that can sort of be used. And that's something that before I actually didn't know. So actually a little knowledge goes a long way. So that's sort of another takeaway. That's sort of, pretty much it. And, you see a lot of, I do see it come up quite often, this discussion around imposter syndrome, and, people that think they shouldn't belong there. And there is obviously an element of confidence around it. I don't struggle with confidence. I mean, obviously, that comes with time. I'm not super cocky. I'm fully aware that I don't know everything, but I can be in a situation, I can put my hand up, be honest, and go, I don't know about this. But if you're in that, if you face that situation yourself and you think, I don't have the confidence to say something, I don't really have a solution for that, right? I'm not a business or a confidence coach, but there is definitely more of an element. And actually, if you're at that table and there's a lot of more knowledge around you, you're probably at the right table, because you can sort of absorb it by osmosis, right? So that's actually probably the best place to be. You don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I know this is pretty cliche, but you don't want to be the smartest guy there, or gal. You want to be in an environment where you're sort of still absorbing, still learning, keeps it interesting, keeps it fun, and you can keep growing as a person, as a professional, in academia, whatever environment you might be in, right? So it's stepping out of your comfort zone, it's always it's always a good place to be. All right, just a short and sweet one from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.